The head of MI5 has warned that Hamas's attacks on Israel have increased the chances of an Islamist terror atrocity in this country. Ken McCallum was speaking after two Swedish football fans were shot dead in Belgium on Monday. A man who identified himself as a member of the Islamic State claimed responsibility, and the gunman was eventually killed by police yesterday after spending hours riding around Brussels dressed in fluorescent orange, carrying a weapon on a moped. But there we go. Chris Phillips joins me now, the former head of the National Terrorism Office. Thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. How much at risk should we be, or are we now, in Britain as a result of what's going on? And is that likely to get worse, do you think, in the coming days and weeks?
Well, I think it is likely to get worse. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, having seen the demonstration over the weekend, to realise that there's an awful lot of people very upset about what's going on in Israel and Gaza. And a portion of those will be extremists. And we saw some of those extremists during the weekend. And, of course, we know that there's at least 20-odd thousand people that support ISIS and what it stands for. And to be quite frank, Hamas and ISIS are two sides of the same coin. So you can imagine that there are people that will be encouraged and encourage themselves to go out and do ridiculous.
Yeah, and look, again, I want to draw a clear distinction between people who, your average person who waves the Palestinian flag, and then somebody who actually supports, Hamas, or indeed, as you said there, they're basically two cheeks of the same backside when it comes to Hamas and ISIS, aren't they? So do you think that there's a chance then that there is this, well, more than a chance, that there is a kind of almost Trojan horse of people in the UK, whether they were born here or have moved to the UK, who could be looking at what's going on in the Middle East, Britain's overt support for Israel, and could use that to wreak havoc on our streets?
Yeah, we had a terrorist attack last week up the north where a man was stabbed. We've had terrorist attacks in France with a teacher being killed, and of course we saw the terrorist attack in Belgium. So there will be incidents. Head of MI5 is hedging his bets a bit. The threat level hasn't gone up yet, which is quite surprising, but I think it probably will.
Yeah, should we increase it? If it went up, what does that really mean? What does it actually mean if we increase the terror threat?
Well, it increases the number of high visibility police officers you'll see, if there are any more to bring out of the box. But I think the important thing is the signal it should send to businesses and to society that if the threat level goes up, you need to be doing more, and you need to be more alert and more willing to report suspicious behaviour, etc. This whole shebang in Gaza is going to be going on for months and years probably ahead. And we've just got to be aware that there are people, as you say, some that are already inside the country that live here, and others that have come in recently, and they're a real threat to society, and they don't want to see an ordered society, and are likely to do something ridiculous.
Yeah, and if people believe that they are serving a higher power, then they're less inclined to ever want to ingratiate with our norms and values, and therefore more inclined to go out and commit some kind of atrocity. So just to clarify, you think that we should now have the severe terror threat, right? And we don't. I do find that quite concerning, maybe, that we're looking at what's going on and people with eyes in their head can see that there is a problem, and we're not doing everything we can maybe to address that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure I would say that I think it should go up. I think the JTAC, the team that look at this, I mean, there's a whole group of people based in MI5 that work on this day and night, looking at all the threat picture, all the people that they know are terrorists within the UK. Because something's happened overseas, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen here. But I think anyone with any common sense would think
it's bubbling. I can't help but feel like it's bubbling. You look around, we had, an attack in France. It was very, very quiet / borderline hushed up, actually, what happened in this country a couple of days ago. I mean, that was swept under the rug big time, and I wonder why. We've had bomb threats at French airports today. We've had synagogues firebombed in Berlin. We've had numerous different issues here, and it doesn't take a genius to work out that there is now a massive potential for escalation, and we haven't had a ground invasion yet. We have not had a ground invasion yet. Look, Chris, thank you very much. No doubt I'll be talking to you again in the coming days. Chris Phillips there is the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Office in this country.